Hello everybody, it's Chuck Carnevale, co-founder of FastGraphs, the Fundamentals Analyzer software tool, and of course one of the founding partners of the Dividend King service here on Seeking Alpha, marketplace service here on Seeking Alpha. And the article I posted today talked about the fact that not all dividends are the same even when their yield is similar. And what that really meant by that title is to point out that a lot of times stocks will look very similar statistically when you're just evaluating them based on just, say, looking at some numbers that you might get in a quote service. But when you really dig deeper into those companies, you find out that they're actually vastly different companies, even though, maybe their PE multiple looks similar, their dividend yield looks similar, even things like credit ratings and, debt to capital, so it might look similar. So to me, I always feel like it's very important to ask and answer some important questions. And I listed many of those questions in the article. And what I'm going to do here with this video is just kind of quickly go through and show you how I actually go through that process myself. So, like for example, I asked, what kind of track record does the company have? Well, here looking at FastGraphs, I'm looking at UGI Corp, which is a gas utility. You can see the first track record I want to look at is the earnings, and that's the orange line on this graph. And you can see that the earnings growth of this company has averaged about 10.2%, what I'd call moderate cyclicality. We've had generally, really good earnings growth here. The other thing is, notice that price tracks earnings, and when it gets disconnected, it usually reverts to the mean. If it gets under the earnings line, it moves back up and so on and so forth. So, I kind of see what the track record of the company looks like. This is the dividend line, and I can see that the dividend has grown consistently. Now, if I'd rather see that information in numbers, I can go ahead and look at the dividend growth rates, how fast the dividend has grown, which is another question I've asked. I can look at the dividend payout ratio. I can see it visually, or I can look at it mathematically. And I can also see what the yield on cost, or growth yield I like to call it, has been. What has happened to the dividends over time. So I have information like that available when you have the right tools. And we provide a lot of information on our Dividend King service also that rates stocks on quality and so on. So here you've got a utility stock with a pretty good track record. The other one that I featured in the article was another utility stock, MDU Corp, and the difference here is subtle. The dividend yield is about the same, about a 3.4% dividend yield and a PE of 13.58. But notice the significant difference in the operating history. We have a very good dividend record here, but here we have growth at a much lower rate, only about 4% growth. And there's been periods of time where earnings growth has actually been, negative, where we had periods where earnings collapsed for several years in a row. So this is just giving you an idea of what the company looks like. I've got a similar debt level. I've got a similar PE ratio currently, but I have a much different, history. When I look at the growth rates here, I can see a much lower dividend growth rate. I can also see a period of time where the dividend has had, I'll call it very small periods of growth. I also see periods of time where the growth has been higher. But all this is giving me a sense of what kind of company I'm looking at. When I'm looking to the future, I'm going to go to my forecasting graphs here, and what I'm going to look for are, what are the estimates and how have the estimates been moving over time? Like 6 months ago, these analysts were expecting $1.63 for MDU Resources, which is a multi-line utility stock. Now they're saying $1.85, so they're getting more positive. That's a good thing. I can also check the analyst scorecard, and what I find out here is, probably due to the cyclical nature of this stock, analysts have really gotten the estimates wrong. So in this case, I might not be too confident in the analyst estimates. So let's go ahead and look at that same perspective, looking at UGI, the gas utility that, by the way, is featured in the Dividend King's website. Here, I see the estimates decrease from 286 to 281, but they're pretty much staying the same here. And when I look at the analyst scorecard here, I get a much better scorecard. There's still some periods where, the company has missed here, but their longer term record, their 2-year record, is very, very good. The analysts have only been wrong 8% of the time. And I can look at that granularly, by the way. I can go ahead and go into my 2-year forecast and see that the biggest miss was once in 2012, where they missed it by 37%. But otherwise, the company has a pretty good record. So here, I might find the forecasting reasonable, and I can also be calculating what my records are. So the moral of the story, and all I'm trying to get across in this, is that don't just look at statistics. Also try to learn and ask important questions about the company's history, what its future is, and ultimately, of course, you want to go ahead and dig into the stocks and look at, what they're really expected to be in the future. Now, with, the Dividend King service here, we can go in there and we can look at our valuation tool or our portfolio trackers, and we can give you information. The one stock that we are covering, that I'm covering in this video, would be UGI. Anyway, this has been Chuck Carnevale saying thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and hope you enjoyed this article. Remember, just don't rely on statistics. Learn as much as you can about the companies and also pay very close attention to valuation. How has the market historically valued the company? What multiples have they typically applied? What has been the track record? How well has the dividend grown? How much of the earnings are they paying out? The area below this white line is the payout ratio. Of course, I also, report it here. And is that a reasonable payout ratio? The more you can know, the better informed you're going to be. And at Dividend Kings, when we provide you recommendations and portfolios that match certain investment objectives, we also give you a great deal of information on scoring, etc. And of course, as anyone on Dividend Kings also would get a discount on the monthly subscription to FastGrows. Anyway, this has been Chuck Carnevale saying thanks for watching. Take a look at our Dividend King service. We appreciate it, and good investing. Let's hope that 2021 turns out to be a much better year on all aspects than 2020. Thanks for watching.